Two Pre-Moore security guards spot a suspicious man in the industrial sector of Morlana 1. They follow him, corner him, harass him. A scuffle breaks out. One guard is killed accidentally. The other, shot in cold blood. The man who pulled the trigger, Cassian Andor. And just like that, he's a fugitive. Cassian didn't come to Morlana 1 to kill anyone. He came searching for his sister. A lead brought him here, a whisper, a name in a brothel. But what he found instead was blood, panic, and the beginning of a journey he can never walk away from. He escapes, flees back to Ferrix, a scrapyard town where the past hides in plain sight. He tries to lay low, covering his tracks with the help of a few people he trusts. Marva, his adoptive mother. B2EMO, her glitchy but loyal droid. And Brasso, his friend who's always down to help, even when the truth is messy. But Cassian isn't just hiding. He's holding something valuable, a stolen Imperial Starpath unit. Worth a fortune. Worth chasing. So he turns to Bix, a local fixer with black market ties and unresolved tension between them. She agrees to reach out to a secret buyer. But Bix's boyfriend, Tim, is watching. Jealous, insecure, and about to make a call that will change everything. Meanwhile, the Pre-Moore authorities want this incident buried. But Syril Karn, a junior officer with something to prove, begins hunting Cassian. He digs deep, uncovering Cassian's past and tracing his origins back to a forgotten planet, Kenari. In a flashback, a younger Cassian, known as Casa, joins a group on Kenari investigating a crashed ship. Casa rebuffs his younger sister's efforts to join the search, leaving her behind in their encampment. Tim is still watching, still suspicious of Bix's connection to Cassian. His jealousy boils over, and he makes a choice that changes everything. He reports Cassian to Pre-Moore security, right as they issue a warrant for his arrest. On Morlana 1, Syril Karn takes command of the operation. Determined to capture Cassian, he enlists Sergeant Linus Mosk, a fellow stick-to-the-rules officer obsessed with order and authority. Together, they begin assembling a small tactical team to travel to Ferrix and bring Cassian in. Back on Ferrix, B2EMO delivers the news. There's a warrant. Cassian is being hunted. And now there's no more time to hide. Cassian begins preparing to flee the planet. He stashes supplies, plans his route, but he still needs one thing before he disappears: the sale of the Starpath unit. And far from Ferrix, his path is about to collide with someone unexpected. Luthen Rael, the mysterious buyer Bix contacted, is on his way. He's not just here for stolen tech. He's here for something more. And through it all, the past continues to haunt us. In a flashback to Kenari, young Casa and his tribe reach the wreckage of the crashed ship, a ghost of the Empire's forgotten mess resting near an abandoned strip mining site. As they investigate, one of Casa's companions is suddenly shot by a surviving crew member. The tribe retaliates, killing the attacker in a flurry of fear and instinct, then flees into the jungle. But Casa stays behind. Drawn by curiosity, by something deeper, he climbs aboard the ghost ship, unaware that this moment will shape his fate forever. Luthen Rael arrives on Ferrix, not just to buy the Starpath unit, but to meet the man behind the theft. He tracks Cassian Andor to an abandoned factory. But Cassian isn't alone for long. Syril Karn and Sergeant Mosk land with a full squad of Pre-Moore security officers. They hit Ferrix hard. First stop, Marva's home. Syril storms in, demanding answers. Marva stands her ground, refusing to give up her son. Meanwhile, Cassian transmits a message to B2EMO, unaware it's intercepted. That one signal gives Syril the exact location. The hunt is on. Cassian still wants to sell the Starpath unit and get out. But Luthen has other plans, and he makes a bold offer, not credits, but purpose. He's building a rebellion. And he wants Cassian on his team. He's watched Cassian for years, noticed the pattern, how he always manages to steal from the Empire, sabotage them, humiliate them. As Cassian weighs the offer, the building is raided. Blasters erupt, smoke fills the room. Cassian and Luthen fight their way out, blasting through security, then escaping into a speeder hangar. There, they get the drop on Syril, disarm him, and leave him tied up, humiliated, confused, and broken. Meanwhile, Bix discovers Tim betrayed Cassian. She rushes to warn him, but she's intercepted and brutally restrained by the security team. Tim, realizing what he's done, tries to intervene. He's shot and killed on the spot. As chaos erupts across Ferrix, Cassian's friend Brasso gets his revenge. He sabotages one of the pre-Moore landing pods, destroying it in a fiery blast. With the heat rising, Cassian and Luthen escape the city, leaving Syril and Mosk stunned and begging for evacuation. In the past, we return once more to Canary. A younger Marva and her husband Clem scavenge the crashed ship and find Casa alone and unconscious. Marva makes a fateful decision. She won't leave him behind. If the Republic finds him, he's doomed, so they take him with them. And just like that, Casa becomes Cassian Andor. After the chaos on Ferrix, Luthen Rael takes Cassian Aldhani. There's no time to rest. Cassian is being placed into a rebel heist, one already in motion. At first, Cassian resists. He doesn't trust them, doesn't want to die for a cause he barely understands. But Luthen makes it clear, you want to run, steal, survive? Then play your part. He gives Cassian a new identity, a pseudonym. Cassian chooses the name Clem, a ghost from his past. On Aldhani, Cassian meets Vel, leader of the rebel cell. She introduces him to the rest of the crew, but keeps Luthen's involvement a secret. The mission? Steal the entire Imperial payroll for a sector. Their target is a heavily guarded Imperial supply hub. Their escape plan? Timed perfectly with a rare celestial event in the Aldhani sky. A meteor shower so massive it'll light up the atmosphere and cover their retreat. But there's a problem. The getaway vehicle is slow. One mistake, and they all die. Back on Coruscant, Luthen shifts identities, now posing as a cultured antiques dealer. In the back room of his shop, he meets with Senator Mon Mothma. She's walking a razor's edge, juggling her public duties while secretly funding the rebellion. Every move is watched, every ally a potential traitor. Meanwhile, Syril Karn, disgraced and fired after the Ferrix disaster, returns to his mother's home. Broken, ashamed, but still obsessed with Cassian. And inside the Imperial Security Bureau, Lieutenant Dedra Meero begins asking dangerous questions. She suspects something bigger is unfolding. But when she tries to claim jurisdiction over the Ferrix incident, she's blocked by a rival officer and warned by her superior. Ambition is not always rewarded. On Aldhani, trust is hard to earn. Cassian, now Clem, hides his past from the rebel group. He keeps his distance, and the group senses it, especially Skeen, skeptical, sharp, and always watching. The team trains relentlessly under Terriman, who drills them in Imperial protocols and movement. Every detail has to be perfect. They'll be marching straight into an Imperial garrison with nothing but stolen uniforms and precise timing. Tension builds, paranoia grows. On the long journey to the garrison, Cassian finally cracks. He admits the truth, he's a mercenary. He's here for the money, not the cause. The revelation fractures the group. Vel struggles to hold them together. The success of the mission teeters on a knife's edge. But they're not alone. Inside the garrison, Lieutenant Gorn, an Imperial officer turned rebel, works in the shadows to set the stage. Every order, every shift rotation, every detail, covertly manipulated to give the rebels their chance. Back on Coruscant, Syril Karn faces humiliation. His overreach on Ferrix cost him everything. Now he lives under the scrutiny of his mother Edie as they search for his next move. At the same time, Mon Mothma struggles to keep her political mask in place. She launches a charitable foundation, a front to move money for the rebellion. But at home, her family life is falling apart. Her husband is cold, her daughter is distant, and the weight of secrecy is suffocating. Meanwhile, in the Imperial Security Bureau, pressure mounts. Supervisor Blevin seizes a hotel on Ferrix, transforming it into the new ISB headquarters. But Dedra Meero isn't done digging. With help from her assistant Hert, she pieces together a disturbing pattern. The rebels aren't just attacking randomly, they're executing coordinated heists. Across the galaxy, Imperial assets are disappearing, and someone, maybe several someones, are orchestrating it all. Luthen, meanwhile, waits in silence, listening for the signal that the Aldhani mission has begun. Because if this works, it will be the spark that lights the fire. On Aldhani, the mission begins. With Lieutenant Gorn's help, the rebels infiltrate the Imperial garrison, disguised as an escort squad for the Commandant J-Hold Behaz and his family. It's now or never. Once inside, they seize control. Behaz's family is held hostage, forcing him to open the vault. The payroll of an entire Imperial sector sitting in crates of hard credits. The crew loads them onto a freighter working against the clock. But they're spotted. Imperial troops open fire. In the chaos, Terramin falls. Gorn is shot. Cinta, left behind, watches it all from the shadows. Unable to reach the ship. Only Cassian, Skeen, Vel, and Namek make it out. But the cost is heavy. An unsecured crate slams into Nemik, crushing him. With time running out, they divert course, landing on the planet Fresno, desperate to save him. While Vel arranges for help, Skeen makes his move. He pulls Cassian aside and proposes a betrayal. Leave Vel behind. Split the money. Cassian is stunned. But in a split second, survival takes over. He shoots Skeen dead. When Vel returns, he tells her everything and refuses to lie. He doesn't want the rebellion. He doesn't want to lead. Just his promised cut. And a clean exit. Before he goes, Vel hands him Nemik's manifesto. The final wish of a dying idealist. A book of beliefs meant for someone still searching for a reason to fight. On Coruscant, alarms go off across the Empire. ISB agents scramble, reeling from the audacity of the heist. Retaliation is coming, but in the shadows, Luthen Rael smiles. The rebellion just made its first real noise. On Coruscant, Syril Karn starts fresh, a new job at the Bureau of Standards. But the weight of failure still hangs heavy. Meanwhile, Colonel Wolf Yularen announces a crackdown. The ISB is gaining more surveillance power, more authority to hunt dissent. Dedra Meero faces pushback for breaking protocol, accessing Imperial data without permission. But she argues her case fiercely, persuading her superiors to grant her control over the Ferrix investigation. Back with the rebels, Clea, Luthen's assistant, gives a chilling order to Vel. Find Cassian. Kill him. His identity must remain a secret at all costs. On Ferrix, Cassian returns. The place where his past still haunts him. He finds a town gripped by fear. Stormtroopers patrol the streets, reminders of the Empire's tightening noose. Old friends and neighbors blame him for the brutal security crackdown. Memories flood back. The day his adoptive father, Clem, was killed by Imperial clone troopers at a protest on Rick's Road. Cassian begs Marva to leave with him to escape the Empire's shadow, but she chooses to stay, to fight. Soon after, Cassian slips away to Niamos, a tropical paradise far from Ferrix's troubles. There, under the alias Keef Gurgo, he tries to vanish into anonymity. But the Empire's reach is long. One day, walking along the beachfront, a shore trooper arrests him, accusing him of fleeing rebel activity. Without trial, Cassian is sentenced to 6 years in prison. The Empire never forgets. And Cassian Andor's fight has only just begun. Cassian lands on Narkina 5, a grim island prison. This is no ordinary jail. Thousands of prisoners toil in brutal conditions, manufacturing machinery for the Empire. Cassian's introduction is harsh. Kino Loy, the floor manager, enforces the prison's rigid rules with an iron fist. Survival means submission and strength. Meanwhile, back on Ferrix, Vel and Cinta search desperately for Cassian. Marva falls ill and Bix reaches out to Luthen, trying to locate Cassian. But Luthen, wary of Imperial surveillance, stays silent. Cutting off contact to protect the network, Luthen leaves Coruscant for a risky meeting with Saw Gerrera. He seeks support from Gerrera's rebel cell, hoping for air cover in a planned raid on the Spellhouse power station. But Gerrera turns him away, refusing to get involved. On Coruscant, Dedra Meero probes deeper. She questions Syril about Ferrix, but declines his offer of help. Determined to act, Dedra leads a strike team to Ferrix herself, and arrests Bix. The noose tightens, the Empire is closing in. And Cassian's path to freedom is growing darker. In the shadowed halls of the Imperial Security Bureau, Dedra Meero and scientist Dr. Gorst push Bix to the breaking point. Under brutal interrogation, they learn Cassian's name surfaces in the Aldhani heist. But Bix's knowledge has limits. They fail to uncover anything on Luthen Rael, whom Dedra calls Axis, the silent hub of rebel activity. Meanwhile, the ISB captures a rebel pilot from Anto Krieger's group. The pilot reveals a new target, an Imperial power station on Spellhouse, soon to be raided. On Coruscant, Mon Mothma meets with Vel, revealed now as her cousin. She urges Vel to maintain her cover as a wealthy, apolitical socialite. Together with banker Tay Kolma, Mon Mothma continues to secretly fund the rebellion's cause. Back on Narkina 5, the prison's cruelty deepens. An elderly prisoner named Ulaf suffers a stroke days before release, only to be euthanized by prison medic Dr. Rossiv. Rossiv shares a chilling truth with Cassian and Kino. Prisoners released at sentence end aren't free. They're sent back to work the same prison floor. The guards cover it up by killing all prisoners on that level. Cassian and Kino face a brutal reality. There is no true release. But hope sparks in the darkness. Cassian convinces Kino to join a daring escape plan. Freedom demands risk, and the rebellion's fire grows hotter. The prison on Narkina 5 becomes a battleground for freedom. Cassian engineers a daring move, flooding the prison by rupturing a water pipe. The chaos disables security systems, giving the prisoners the chance to overpower the guards. Kino Loy takes control of the prison's intercom, sparking a full-scale rebellion throughout the island. But Kino reveals a heartbreaking truth. He cannot swim and must stay behind, trapped on Narkina 5. Cassian, with the other escapees, fights through the water and reaches the shore, freedom at last within grasp. Meanwhile, on Coruscant, Mon Mothma meets with the businessman Davos Skulden, offering financial support for her covert projects. But when Skulden requests she arrange a meeting between her young daughter Leda and his son, an arranged marriage tradition, Mon Mothma refuses. In the shadows, ISB supervisor Lonnie Jung reveals herself as a rebel informant. She meets with Luthen Rael to update him on ISB operations. Both men acknowledge the heavy chains of their roles, caught in a war that neither chose yet cannot escape. Cassian Andor's escape marks only the beginning. The fight against the Empire rages on. Tragedy strikes Ferrix with the death of Marva Andor, Cassian's adoptive mother. Her funeral draws a large gathering, authorized by Dedra Meero, hoping Cassian will show. Meanwhile, Vel updates Clea on Marva's passing and learns of Mon Mothma's uneasy plan to marry off her daughter Leda, a traditional Chandrilan arrangement. Leda begins participating in cultural gatherings, causing tension and distress for Mon Mothma and Vel alike. Syril Karn discovers details of the funeral from Linus Mosk, his former colleague. Far from Ferrix, Saw Gerrera initially plans to back Anto Krieger's attack on Spellhouse, but is warned off by Luthen Rael, who reveals the plan is compromised and known to the ISB. In a daring escape, Luthen evades Imperial patrols, blasting through TIE fighters and breaking a tractor beam to return safely to Coruscant. On Narkina 5, Cassian teams up with fellow prisoners Dewey and Freedy from the Caridian species and Ruskat Melshi. Together, they execute a risky escape from the brutal prison moon. Afterward, Cassian retrieves his belongings from Niamos, only to learn of Marva's death. Driven by grief and rage, Cassian vows to expose the cruelty of the Imperial prison system publicly. Cassian returns to Ferrix for Marva's funeral, a somber gathering heavy with grief and defiance. He learns that Bix has been imprisoned by the Imperials, escalating the tension on the planet. Meanwhile, Dedra Meero and the local Imperial garrison prepare to capture Cassian for questioning about Axis, the mysterious rebel network's linchpin. Using the looming Imperial ambush as cover, Luthen Rael conspires with Vel and Cinta to assassinate Cassian, protecting rebel secrets at all costs. The ISB successfully quashes Anto Krieger's attack on Spellhouse, but their ruthless tactics leave no prisoners, deeply unsettling Dedra. On Chandrila, young Leda is introduced to Skulden's son, cementing her path into the politically charged world of arranged alliances. At Marva's funeral, B2EMO plays a recorded speech from Marva herself, a powerful call to resistance that ignites a riot among the mourners. In the chaos, Cassian bravely rescues Bix from captivity, while Syril unexpectedly saves Dedra from an attack, showing shifting loyalties in a volatile world. Later, at a Ferrix shipyard, Cassian meets with B2EMO, Brasso, and others, persuading them to help get Bix safely off-planet. The uprising on Ferrix moves Luthen deeply. He returns to his ship where Cassian awaits, ready for the reckoning. Cassian confronts Luthen, daring him to make a choice: kill him or bring him fully into the rebellion. Luthen responds with a knowing smile, hinting at the challenges and battles ahead. But just when you think the story has settled, the post-credits scene drops a chilling revelation. Droids are assembling machinery crafted by the prisoners of Narkina 5, now weaponized as part of the Death Star's devastating firing dish. And that's a wrap on Season 1 of Andor, a story of sacrifice, rebellion, and the quiet sparks that ignite a galaxy-wide fight for freedom. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss any recaps and deep dives. I've also covered Andor Season 2. Check out the link in the description below. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.